All right, it's another Wednesday, and you have decided to voluntarily lock yourself on Lubay Radio, Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, right here on the Voices of the Millennials. A very good evening to you, listeners, and you're welcome. You're welcome. This is the best time for you to relax and join us in the conversation that revolves around millennials, like we always do right here on Lubay Radio. My name is Annamaria Amissah, your regular host. Tonight is going to be another exciting edition. We have another young lady who will be speaking with us. We get to know her better and see how well she's doing in her field. But before we do that, like you know, the show has been remodeled just for you. We will have the Millennial Trends News Bulletin with Kemi Famous, and you can be sure to get all the trends that are ongoing right here, right now in our millennials world. So stay tuned. Kemi, how are you?
You are welcome to another episode of Millennial Trends right here on Voices of Millennial Show. I remain your host, Kemi Famous. And today we would be talking about interesting news topics. But before we start, let's start with the headlines. AfroFest 2024 in Montreal sees record attendance. Canada launches National Black Entrepreneurship Program. Hurricane Nadine devastates parts of the Caribbean. African Union and Canada strengthens ties in historic summit. Black tech innovators make waves at Toronto's Digital Future Expo. Now, let's jump right into the details. First up, let us head over to Montreal, where AfroFest 2024 just wrapped up. And it was one of the history books. This year's festival saw record-breaking attendance with over 100,000 people gathering to celebrate Africa and the Caribbean cultures through music, art, food, and much more. Now, the Afrofest is one of the largest celebrations of African heritage and Caribbean heritage, of course, in Canada. And this year, it was bigger and bolder than ever. Now, the lineup included legendary acts like Burna Boy, again, Shenzi, and Salty Soul, forgive my pronunciation, alongside riding stars from diaspora. But it wasn't just about the music, really. There were art exhibitions, fashion shows, and food markets that was brought together. Flavors from across the continent that was put together for also the food market. One of the highlights of the show was a panel discussion on the future of African culture in global media, featuring creators and influencers from across the globe. Now, they discussed a lot of things, and amongst everything that was discussed is the representation in film to the global impact of Afrobeats. Afrofest continues to grow, and it's very clear that our culture is thriving and gaining the recognition that it deserves. So, my question to you is, were you there? What were your favorite moments if you were there or if you watched it online? Let's talk about the Afrofest, how it is shaping the cultural landscape in Canada and around the globe. Switching gears to something big news for Black entrepreneurs in Canada. This week, the Canadian government launched the National Black Entrepreneurship Program, a multi-million dollar initiative aimed at supporting Black-owned businesses across the country. This program is a game changer, providing funding, mentorship, and resources to help Black entrepreneurs overcome the barriers that, have historically held them back. The initiative included grants, low interest loans, and access to networks that can help take their businesses to the next level, which is really amazing because, again, these are the things that young entrepreneurs, millennials like us, need in this time. The program is also focused on closing the economic gap between Black Canadians and the broader population, with a specific emphasis on industries where Black entrepreneurs have been underrepresented. For example, tech industry, manufacturing industry, green energy industry. I mean, most of this industry, creators from these industries would be benefiting from this new grant from the government. This is a significant step forward for economic equity in Canada, and it's something the community has been advocating for years. So, good news, we have it now. If you're an entrepreneur or thinking about starting a business, this is your time to shine. What do you think about this new program? How can it make a difference in your life or the lives of others in your community? Let's dive into it. Remember, you have the comment section rather. Put all your comments in there. Now, onto a more sober note. We need to talk about the Hurricane Nadine. This Category 4 storm tore through parts of the Caribbean this week, leaving a trail of destructions in its wake. Countries like Barbados, St. Lucia, and the Dominica have been hit the hardest, with many homes destroyed, power lines down, and thousands displaced. The Caribbean has always been vulnerable to hurricanes, really, but Nadine's impact has been particularly severe. The international community is already mobilizing and to provide aid, with Canada pledging $50 million in immediate disaster relief and additional support for long-term recovery efforts. This tragedy is a stark reminder of the growing intensity of the storms, likely fueled by climate change. As we stand in the solidarity with our Caribbean brothers and sisters, it's also a call to action for more robust climate policies that protect vulnerable communities. So, how are you feeling about the situation? Have you been affected? Do you know someone who was affected? Let's talk about what we can do to support the recovery efforts and push for changes needed to protect our communities from future disasters. In a historic move, finally, let's talk tech. Toronto's Digital Expo just wrapped up, and Black innovators were front and center, showcasing some of the most exciting, incredible advancements in AI, fintech, and more. This Expo, rather, is one of the largest tech events in North America, and it was incredible to see Black talent leading the charge. Among the standout projects that we had was an AI-driven health app designed to address the unique needs of Black patients, developed by a team led by Dr. Simone Williams. Another highlight was a fintech startup that's revolutionizing remittances to Africa, making it faster and cheaper, of course, for people to send money back home. So if you're in the bracket of people who love to send money back home, they've got you covered. Now, these innovators are not only making waves in the tech world rather, but are also ensuring that the solutions being created reflect the needs and experiences of our communities. It's a powerful reminder now that representation in tech isn't just about having a seat at the table. It's about shaping the future. So, were you at the expo or did you go to the expo? Have you heard about this project? Do you know of any more projects that is making waves right now and helping Africans, either to send money back home or changing the charts, in the Afro community? How do you see the Black innovators changing the tech landscape? Do you see us doing more projects in the future? What would you like to see? Let us celebrate these achievements and talk about the future of Black tech. Now, that is a wrap on today's show, fam. It was amazing bringing you this news bulletin, and I look forward to bringing you more news items next week. We've covered everything from the record-breaking AfroFest in Montreal to Canada's new Black entrepreneurship program to the devastating impact of Hurricane Nadine. Also to the groundbreaking work of Black innovators in Toronto. But as always, the conversation doesn't end here when the segment ends. It continues. We would love to hear from you. What stories stood out to you? What stories would you like to hear? What recent news would you like us to talk about? What do you want to hear more? Slide into our DMs on all our social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even on Thread. We are waiting to hear from you. Let's keep the dialogue going because, again, this show is all about amplifying your voice. I remain Kemi Famous, bringing you trending news updates on millennial trends right here on the Voices of Millennials. I will be handing over now to Anna Maria for the rest of the show. Do stay tuned. See you next week. Bye bye.
Thank you, Kemi, for the news. We enjoyed every bit of it, and we look forward to hearing more on what is trending in the world of millennials. Thank you, Kemi Famous, for joining us on the Voices of the Millennials.
Thank you and have a good day.
Have a good day. Right. So that was some tidbits and some trending news that is of the interest of millennials and what is going on generally. That is of the interest of everybody as well. So we did enjoy that, and we'll be bringing you more and more of this news just so that you can keep up with what is happening and what is trending in the world of the millennials. My guest will be joining me shortly, and we will be learning all about what she's been up to since she received a scholarship package from Lubay Radio at the Voices of the Millennials Summit, which was held in July. Okay, Catherine is here, so I'm just going to give you the floor. Catherine, how are you doing?
Oh, hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. I'm just going to give you the floor to introduce yourself
Okay.
so that our listeners can get to know you. The
Okay,
floor is
sounds
yours.
good. Thank you. Well, my name is Catherina Nunez Vieira. I'm currently 20 years old, going to the University of Toronto. I'm majoring in criminology and sociolegal studies. And yeah, I just started this week my third year in this major. And next year is my last year here. And then I plan on moving forward um, to go to college to further my studies. I was born and raised in Mississauga, Ontario. All my life, I've lived in the same house on the same block, and my mother is from Lima, Peru, and my father is from El Salvador.
That's nice. That's really interesting. So, how did it feel, when you were nominated to receive the Scholarship of Academic Excellence Award? How did it feel for you?
It felt really nice. It felt like I was seen because this was the first scholarship I had ever won. So it was a mixture of surprised, grateful, and happy that I could do this for myself and take some of the stressors of paying school off my mother and off of me, and it was a nice feeling.
Mm. Would you call it an achievement then?
Absolutely, yes.
Mm. And has it changed, how you used to see, yourself, your capabilities? Is there any impact that this scholarship has put on you? You know.
Absolutely. I would think it allows me to um, kind of realize that I have this potential to stand out for people to kind of connect with my work or my essay, for example. I was very glad to hear that somebody from a legal background picked me as the winner for their scholarship, and that's what I want to pursue in the legal field. So I was very happy to have connected with someone over my writing. It made me
Mm.
feel special.
Would you be able to just give us a little insight on what your essay contained? What was it that you think may have caught the eye for you to be picked up?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I remember correctly, the essay was about academic achievements and volunteer work that we have done in our community. And I think um, the volunteer work is what maybe made me stand out because I have done a lot of volunteer work in the past few years and recently as well. A few of them, I can tell you the top three that come to mind have been volunteering at my local church. It has been for this camp called Totus Tuus, and I dedicated one summer to help kids at this church camp. We just learned about the Bible, and we played games, and we just had a lot of fun. Secondly, I volunteered at a senior home during the holidays, and there we just got to talk with seniors that are kind of in need of company during the holiday season, and we got to talk to them, play games with them, and we got to sing them Christmas carols, sing to them and sing with them. A third one would be volunteering at my local thrift store, Mission Thrift Store, that I currently work at now. And there we are a nonprofit organization that sends all our proceeds to Bible League Canada. And Bible League Canada is a place where kids get Bible studies all across the world for free. So I think
Wow.
extensive volunteer experience probably.
Wow. That's a lot of volunteering experience that you have. Are you happy doing volunteer work?
Yes, I am happy because it makes me feel not only part of my community, but it makes me feel like I've gotten a lot in my life. I'm very grateful and I'm in a privileged position in my life to be going to such an amazing, prestigious school, to live in such a nice neighborhood. So when I give back to the community, it kind of makes me feel um, that I'm returning the good graces that have been put upon me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So it's actually a prominent black lawyer that picked your essay,
Mhm.
Bay Street, on
Oh,
Bay Street, I think. They are the ones that picked your essay, and they were very very impressed. And I'm equally impressed. I mean, just listening to you and see the passion that you used to talk about this. Love Bay and voice this platform, Voices of the Millennials, is basically amplifying the voices of the young adults. We look out for very productive young people and just put the spotlight on them and support them in every way that we can so that they can achieve their goals, and be as productive as they have proven to be. And it's just amazing hearing from you. There are some youth or some young people that do not really, or I should say, are not really into volunteering. What would
mhm.
be your advice or your word to them?
My advice to them would be something very simple. Um, when I was younger, probably in high school, I was not very, like, I would say grade nine, I was not very interested in volunteering either. But what made me get into volunteering is that all high schools have a requirement that you need 20 to 40 hours or something like that of volunteering to graduate. So the thought of volunteering when I was younger, I was just like, I'd rather hang out with my friends, right? But when I started volunteering, it was I saw the impact that volunteering had on communities, and just not even communities at a macro scale, but at a micro scale, um, just the people around me, the people in my volunteering space as well. I saw the impact that it created and how special volunteering is. So that's what made me want to volunteer in different sectors, at a church, at a senior home, at a thrift store. But my advice to people or younger people who don't really volunteer or don't want to volunteer is pick something that you are interested in when you volunteer. For example, something I'm very interested in are animals. I love animals, I love pets, I have a dog. So I think this summer I would love to volunteer at my local humane society because I love animals. So I would suggest that they find something that they like and volunteer within that area to just get started, get their foot in the door.
Mm. If you found yourself in a country, in the near future, where volunteerism is not really part of the culture, but then you had the opportunity to explain to them or advocate for that to happen, what would be some pointers you will stand on?
Some pointers I would stand on. I would say if it was not really a norm within their society, I would get how it would be quite challenging to kind of turn that around. But I would tell them personal stories, honestly.
Mhm.
I would tell them personal stories of my time in Canada and volunteering at all these places. And I would tell them my stories on how volunteering has um, changed my life and changed other people's lives for the better. And that it can really bring, I would emphasize that volunteering really brings community together and opens the doors for many things. I started volunteering at Mission Thrift Store and then they offered me a part time job. So it just opens doors and it's very community building.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You did mention that this is the very first scholarship that you have received. I'm just wondering, do you think that initiatives such as what Love Bay is doing, giving scholarships to young adults, to brilliant students, and all of that, do you think that these initiatives are enough and visible enough in our society or in the community we find ourselves in?
Hmm. So, visible enough? I would say I would say scholarships like the initiative of a scholarship that Love Bay is doing is quite like in other companies. I know a lot of companies put out scholarships, a lot of schools do, but the thing is that when major corporations put out scholarships, there are thousands upon thousands submissions. So it's very hard for someone to get those kind of scholarships. But with Love Bay, I've noticed how they're a more localized um, company or organization. So when their initiative of a scholarship, the word gets out, people actually have a really good chance of winning a scholarship, and it makes them feel more inclined to write a good essay and more confident in their work because they're they have a better chance of winning an essay than a big corporation with thousands and thousands of submissions.
True. That's very true. Now let's come back to school life. You did mention that you are studying criminology.
Yeah.
What, how did you fall in love with this course? Why this course? What's the story behind that?
Okay, so the story behind this was when I was in grade 12, I had really no idea what I wanted to do in university. All I knew was that I was going to University of Toronto, St. George campus downtown. That's all I knew. And at the end, when I had to actually start applying, I had to look through all the majors, all the programs, and see which one was the best fit for me. So I actually enrolled and got in for sociology in my first year. I got in for sociology and I liked sociology first year, but at the end of first year at U of T, it comes time where you have to choose another major or you have to specialize in something or you have options, but you can't just have one major like sociology. So when it came to think of my second major, in first year, some of my sociology classes had a little bit of criminology embedded into them, and I took like one elective, Intro to Criminology, at UTM, Mississauga campus, and I was really interested in that. So when I found out that U of T St. George had a criminology and socio-legal program, I was really excited to jump into that because Intro to Criminology really took me by surprise. So, um, um, so yeah, criminology in second year, that's when I really started focusing on criminology. And second year's courses were amazing. One of my favorite ones was Criminology 225. It was criminal law with Adriel Weaver. She is a um, very amazing lawyer and she taught me a lot of things and it was amazing to find out that my professor was not only a professor but an actual criminal lawyer. So I was learning from an actual criminal lawyer, and that made the experience 10 times better. So yeah.
So with courses like criminology, um are you taxed to watch like movies that contain these practical criminal cases to make it more interesting?
Mm. At least at U of T, we do not watch movies or anything like that. We actually read the case laws. So in criminal law, for example, we read a case law every week. So what a case law is basically we usually read Supreme Court cases, and it's anywhere from 60 to 100-page packet of the trial in full, the decisions and everything. So yeah, we just read it.
Mm. What makes it even more interesting? Is there like the cherry on top of the cake for
Yes.
you by not for now? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, so when you think about reading a 60 to 100 case law, it doesn't seem interesting. And many times it was challenging, obviously, because this was my first criminal law class I've ever taken. So it can be challenging. But the thing that made it very interesting, for me at least, was our assignments. And on our final exam, we actually were given a scenario, a 4 to 5 page scenario of a crime that took place, and we would have to answer it in the point of view of the crown attorney, in the point of view as the police, and in the point of the view as the judge. So we would have to dismantle this whole case and charge upon each different perspective. So I
Mm.
found that really interesting because I got to be a police officer, I got to be a criminal attorney, and I got to be a judge and kind of um, dismantle the case from there. So I found it was
Mm.
like I was role playing almost.
Mm. That actually sounds very interesting. So, what are you doing in school that is different from anyone else? I mean, what distinguishes you as Katerina Nunez?
In school,
Yes.
I would say distinguishes me. I would say maybe many people can relate to this, but as a commuter, um, I feel like I put a lot of extra time into my studies because not only am I commuting in the morning, like 2 hours, I have to wake up 2 hours early and also staying after class until nighttime and then commuting back. So I'm putting in a lot of hours of studying. And maybe that's one thing that makes me different from other people, but I know there's a lot of other commuters as well. So
Mm, mm. And what's friendship like to you on campus?
friendship,
Yeah.
um, at U of T at least, I have made some really good friends. They've helped me a lot. I've helped them. It's um, it's really nice to have someone on campus that you can talk to and have breaks with, especially in a place like St. George, because St. George is a huge campus. So it's really easy to be isolated, especially as a commuter, because when you're done with class, if you're not staying extra time to study in the library, you just want to go straight home, especially in winter when it's super dark. So, having friends, I've made two very close friends that I've been in classes with ever since first year. So, I'm very glad to have them by my side. And it's really nice every year to go into a new class and just make new friends through group projects or just um, talking during free time. So, I think it's
Are
really
they tuned
valuable thing to
in?
have.
Are they
Hmm?
tuned in? Your friends, are they tuned in? Do they know you are on Love Bay?
No, they're not. No, they don't.
You should have told them. You should have told them, so they could give you some shout outs. I would have read their
Yeah.
messages for you. But anyway, they can watch it later because it's streaming live on YouTube. So
Okay.
um, you are tuned into Love Bay Afrobeat Music Radio, and this is the Voices of the Millennial Show. We are here talking to Katharina Nunez. She was a recipient of the Academic Excellence Award. She is a student criminologist or criminal lawyer. Criminal
Um,
lawyer is fine.
Criminology and sociolegal studies major.
Okay. Okay. What's the dream, Katharina? What to what end are you studying this course? What do you want to do? What do you want to become?
I want to, as of right now, I have been really interested in researching becoming a paralegal, specifically in the sector of criminal law, because that's what I'm interested in. So yeah, becoming a paralegal, and to do that, I will further my studies. After I get my degree at U of T, I will most probably go to Humber College and continue in a diploma program for paralegal studies.
Mm. So, uh, paralegal, like this is what he is. You want to be a lawyer.
Paralegal is not exactly a lawyer because paralegals don't go to law school. You just need to go
Okay.
to a college to become a paralegal, a licensed paralegal.
Paralegal. So for people like me, for example, who don't know the difference,
Mhm.
can you school us to what's your duties or your role will actually be as a paralegal as compared to a lawyer? How do you guys work together hand in hand?
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, to become a criminal lawyer, you have to go to law school, and it's a lot more schooling, and obviously the expenses are much higher.
Higher.
And when you're a lawyer, you can open up your own firm. You can represent your own clients, even for like um, um, the more serious cases, like, for example, murder, you can represent your clients. But for paralegal, it's kind of like you are the lawyer's teammate. For paralegal, you cannot represent your own client in such a high stakes court. You can do it in small claims court for a paralegal, but what a paralegal does is you work alongside a lawyer, help them build their case, you interview witnesses, you research case law regarding your trial and your case that you're currently working on, and um, yeah, you do a lot of research, and it's basically, I would say, a lawyer's teammate, but not on the
Okay.
same level as a criminal lawyer.
Okay. So, are you choosing the paralegal because there's a lot more schooling that is involved in the lawyer, in becoming a lawyer, or it's just your interest to be a paralegal?
Well, I think there's three main reasons I want to become a paralegal. I want to become a paralegal because I'm genuinely interested in it. Yes, um, there is less schooling, and I would preferably like to start my life sooner rather than later. And third, the cost is really high. So those are
Okay.
the three main reasons.
That's understandable and very, very logical. And we are proud of you to hear you say this. Right. So, when it comes to this is I'm just going to put you on the spot on a different topic. So I'm asking you, when it comes to entrepreneurship, do you think n- that as a country we should be nurturing more entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. I think as a country, we should absolutely be encouraging more entrepreneurs because that's how new ideas develop. That's how a society progresses, I think, with fresh minds, thinking of fresh ideas, fresh products, fresh services. And that's how people grow and a society grows and progresses. And I feel like entrepreneurship is a big reason why um, our society is what it is today.
Excellent. So, if you had the opportunity, to change something in your life right now, and it involved, being an entrepreneur or, being in your dream job, good salary and everything, what would be your choice?
What would be my choice if I was an entrepreneur?
No, if you had the opportunity to
Hmm.
be an entrepreneur or
Hmm.
live the dream, like live in your preferred job,
Okay.
whatever it is you want to do, which one would be your choice?
Oh, I would probably choose my dream job
Okay.
and not an entrepreneur personally, just because I haven't really given entrepreneurship enough thought over the years. All my thought has been in school and my dream career. So I wouldn't know where to start for entrepreneurship, but
Mm,
it would be a very good option to have.
mm, mm. Right. That's quite clear. So, would you call yourself ambitious?
Yeah,
To what extent over 10, from a scale of 1 to 10?
ambitious. I would say 6.5 or 7.
6.5 or 7. That's good. That's good. So, how do you stay motivated on what you have chosen to do, the path that you have chosen to apply? What makes you stay focused and motivated?
That's a really good question. And what helps me stay motivated is planning. I really, really love to plan and have a kind of a straight vision for what my future entails. Um, I like to plan and I like to organize. So that motivates me for when I picture my life in the future and I see myself with the career I want in my first house with my first family and only family. I get excited. So that makes me put in more work right now.
Mm, true. And so, in the next 5 years, where do you see yourself?
In the next 5 years, I see myself finished my paralegal studies, having my license, getting my practicals in so that I have enough experience in the actual field to start working this as my career. I also see myself hopefully getting my first house. I would love that. And moving in with my current boyfriend. That's what I see.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. Um, okay, let's shift to technology because I can't let you go without hearing your thoughts on
Yeah.
technology and social media. How does that impact you as a person, as an individual,
Social media.
and
Um,
technology
in what sense?
in every facets of life, in anything that you do? Technology is taking over. Everything is basically online now. So, how does that impact your life? Is it a good one? Is it distracting? Is it
Mm,
negative? How is it?
I would say it's probably a 60-40 split. 60, no, 70-30. 70% good because the internet is very, very useful, especially in my field for school,
Mm,
because I can't do all this research and read all these scholarly articles. That would take me hours to go to the library and just
mm,
find these by hand when they're all accessible for me on my laptop to enrich my knowledge in my field. So
mm,
that's something I'm very happy about. But 30% on the more negative side, like as you said, distractions. Sometimes we every student is subjected to procrastination and it can be really challenging at times. So just getting the power to during those times of procrastination to stop and kind of get back on track to my work, that can be the negative part of social media because it's very addicting. It's very addicting to text your friends, to play your games, and to check your social media.
mm. So, how do you control that?
How do I control that?
Mhm.
I usually control that by during the school at least. In the summer, I kind of tend to relax more because I work full time and that's kind of my own relaxing and happy place. But during the school, I tend to control that because U of T's um, deadlines for assignments and exams and midterms and finals, they're coming. They come, and it's hard to at times request it for extension. So when there are strict deadlines, it's easy for me to stay off my phone,
Mhm.
because above all else, passing the course and getting good grades is most important to me, and not being on social media.
Mm-mm. There's a lot of pressure, fake life, kind of like putting young individuals under stress, especially when young people see their fellow young people having certain things, or having in their possession certain things that are not very easy to get, but everybody would love to have.
Mhm.
How and do you realize or recognize the fact that there's a lot of fake life that can actually harm your mentality as a young person on social media?
And fake life, do you mean, do you mind elaborating a little bit more on fake
Yeah,
life?
so people living social media life and
Oh,
living a different type of life, and getting people, young people who see it, to be moved by it and possibly pressured into the wrong pathways.
yes. Personally, I do see that, and I have experienced it, that as well as I think many other young women that were on social media through their developmental teenage years have been impacted by seeing all the beautiful celebrities, and um, how a celebrity can be older in age but look so young, or how celebrities our ages um, have the quote unquote perfect body. That can be very, um, it can be very harmful to a younger girl. And I remember at times I would compare myself to these women, and I would think that this is the ideal, and this is how women should want to look, at least because this is what's beautiful, and this is what media portrays as beautiful, this body standard. And as you grow older, like I have, you just have to realize how, like you said, this fake life, social media is social media. It is kind of like a mask behind your true self, because on social media you don't want to share your, most people don't want to share their deep dark emotions, or unfiltered emotions. They want to put a filter over it because they want to seem like the perfect person to everyone else. They don't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Mm. Now, you did mention that you are working part-time
Mhm.
and schooling. So how have you been able to, balance your part-time work with your life with school? How is that going for you?
Well, personally, my since I have been with the Mission Thrift Store for about 2.5 or 3 years now, um, they know me, and they give me a lot of flexibility. So I've come up with a schedule for them that works best for me, and that is working once a week on the weekends, because that's that's the schedule I need, not only to contribute to my savings and my school savings to pay off for school, but also that I won't hinder my mental health balancing work and school. So I'm very lucky in that aspect, because my mental health, for the most part, when we're talking about balancing school and work, it's very good. Like, I wouldn't say it hinders me, but I know some students that are at U of T are working 3 to 4 times a week, before and after school. And my heart goes out to them. They're very hard workers. Um, that's something they need to do. As for social life, I wouldn't say I have the best social life during school, just because even though working once a week on the weekend, um, that takes up the time, because all my friends are in school as well. So we don't really hang out at all during the weekdays. And then I work one day on the weekend on Saturday. And then Sunday is my dedicated study day. So I would say my summers are saved for all social events and having fun with friends. But school is when I have to put my head down and focus and work.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you how you maintain your physical and mental health, but you've made that clear. I mean, the way you're working once on the weekends is cool. It's very important for the mental health and physical health to be taken into
Yeah.
consideration.
And definitely, something else that helps my mental health is taking. I wish I followed this in first year, but when you go into first year, it's like everything hits you like a truck. Everything is brand new. You're in a brand new city because I was in high school in Mississauga, so I had to learn how to commute to Toronto every day. So one thing that I wish I learned in first year was making time for my family, because that's really what calms me down. In first year I was all about getting the grades because I had to get into my major for criminology and for second year.
Mm-hmm.
So first year I really just put my head down and shut everything out but the school. But in second year and now third year, I have learned to balance a lot of other things on top of school, family, and self care days during the week. That's what clears my mental health. I'm currently about to join a volleyball team on campus, so I'm happy about that too.
You mentioned self-care. What do you do for self-care?
Self care days are sort of like on a Sunday that I don't have any assignments or I'm all caught up on my work. I would like pamper myself, I guess, a self-care day. Do a face mask, drink some tea, um, um, do all the pampering things, and maybe put on a movie and watch my favorite show. Just things that just have get me relaxed and out of the
Mm-hmm.
headspace of academia.
Mm-mm. And you said you were joining the volleyball team.
Yes, this
That
year,
that will give you enough exercise time
absolutely.
as well. Yeah, it's good to exercise. I mean, you've got really nice things going. You mentioned that you were in Mississauga and then you started going to Toronto for school. So were there any major cultural shocks that hit you in the beginning?
In the beginning, maybe the types of style people had, not so much of a shock, but just like an appreciation for, because in Mississauga, um, although diversity and like cultural diversity is big in Mississauga, it's very big and very prominent in Toronto. It is like the different types of style. Like you have the alternative style, goth style, you have some skater style, hippie style, chic. It's just a lot of different people with a lot of different style. It's very refreshing and very nice to see everyone very expressive of their self identity.
That must be nice to see and appreciate.
Hmm.
You can even learn from them from
Yeah.
time to time. Yeah, yeah. Now, I know that as a young individual who is going through school, who is going through life, there's a lot that you learn. But at the same time, there may be some setbacks that you have experienced growing. How do you handle setbacks as a young individual?
How do I handle setbacks as a young individual?
Challenges.
Well, challenges like school wise or anything.
Anything. I mean, generally.
Mhm. I wouldn't, as a young person facing challenges, I something I learned that's very important is to take a breather. When a challenge hits, your emotions are heightened. You tend to make the wrong decisions when you try to make decisions like this. You say the wrong thing. It's just everything is so heightened and in a rush, and you do rash things that I've learned to take breathers. So I would sleep on it and wake up in the morning, or even a couple of days later, I would still keep it at bay and then wake up. I would have to at least sleep on it and wake up with a fresh mind. When your emotions are not heightened and you've settled down for the from the shock or the um, yeah, from the shock of a challenge,
Yeah.
you are able to think better. And I also feel like getting fresh air is definitely a breather, and fresh air are definitely two things that will clear your mind and help you make um, not only an objective decision on what you need to do to overcome this challenge, but it'll allow you to do it in a more stress free way.
Yes, absolutely. So that's an advice coming from Catherine. You need to take a breather and do not make decisions spontaneously, as the challenges arrive, because you will make the wrong decisions by all means. Are there any lessons that you have learned that you would want to share in life, generally again?
Lessons in life. I feel like this is such a big question, even though I'm only 20, but a big life decision, I'm no, a big life
Lesson.
lesson would be to make time for your family.
Mm,
And as a teenager, you want to kind of get your independence from your family and freedom. That's what a lot of teenagers want. Especially I wanted that too, because, you know, you grow up, you want your freedom, you want your independence. And even though I have a lot of freedom and I'm a very independent person, you have to make time for your family because they are going to be your rock.
mhm.
They are an amazing support system and they will always be there for you, as my family has always been there for me. So that's one of the biggest life lessons I've learned, that teenagers can want or try to push away their family to seem cool um, or something like that, but it's not going to be the right decision down the road.
Yeah. Mm.
And can I say one more?
Yes.
One more is, in elementary school and high school, bullying can be an extremely prominent thing. And
Mm,
my word to the bullies out there is that when you grow up, you will realize how horrible what you did was, because no one deserves to be treated with disrespect, even if you don't like them, even if you don't agree with them, even if you don't think they're cool. No one should be belittled, and no one should be shown disrespect or publicly humiliated. So, as you grow up, you will learn that it was never cool to bully, and it never did anything for you but make you look bad, your character look bad.
mm, that's it. And that's amazing. That's an awesome message for whoever decides to want to become a bully, really. So we've been speaking with Catherine Nunez, and she is one of the scholarship recipients, the Academic Excellence Scholarship recipient. She was actually selected by a very prominent Black lawyer, and she received the scholarship. I believe you'd want to say something to Love Bay.
Yes, I would want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, for walking into my Mission Thrift store and giving me this opportunity to write an essay and attend the summit. It was a beautiful summit to attend. I loved hearing all the stories, and I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on your stream today. It was an amazing experience, and I had an amazing time talking with you, Anna Maria.
Thank you so much. It was amazing, amazing talking to you as well. Very refreshing. And I pray that you continue in the path that you have decided to walk on, because you will be an amazing paralegal. And we wish you all the very, very best. Listeners, this has been the Voices of the Millennials show right here on Love Bay Afrobeat Talk Music Radio. And we have done what we know how to do best, putting the spotlight on these very productive young adults who are just doing amazing and achieving the best. It's been a pleasure coming your way as always. We promise you of other exciting episodes next week, especially. You do not want to miss out on what we have in store for you. So do make a date to be on time, 7 p.m. The Voices of the Millennials will be live, and you are welcome to join us. My name is Annamaria Amissah, your regular host. It's been amazing. It's been awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Katharina, again.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.